Welcome to Straight Talk Southeast Asia. This is Season 4 here in Kerusi Panas. This is Episode 3 that focuses on the beautiful state of Negeri Sembilan. Negeri Sembilan will go to polls on August 1st. It's the second state election that we've had in Malaysia in 2026. It's also a state election that is arguably the most competitive compared to Johor. Of the 36 seats that are being contested, 11 of them still remain competitive just a few days outside of polls, and that they're still open seats. When we think about the Johor polls, we think about the role of personal attacks, the larger vocal narratives, and the ethnic polarization and the changes in ethnic voting and youth voting that took place. The Negeri Sembilan is unique. And it's not just unique, it's special. It's a beautiful place with wonderful rolling hills. It's also a place of wonderful food, deep culture, and very strong community. When we think about the factors that are shaping Negeri Sembilan's politics, we must start with its unique identity and its unique conditions. The role of social capital, the connections of people who have very strong personal relationships. At the local level, this often means local businesses, local gangs, sports associations, sports history, especially in football, in places like Amenche. Also, school networks and family ties become very important. Along with the role of community is the issue of size. Many of the margins in this state are very small. While Negeri Sembilan looks like a small state, in fact, it's much bigger than that. To travel among the different areas, the geography has contributed to the different local identities that you see in a place like Jalubu compared to a place like Port Dickson. Different feelings, different history, different connections, different roots. This combination of geography, size, multi-ethnic character of the state. In all of Malaysia, in many ways, Negeri Sembilan has the closest multi-ethnic ties because of the way the communities are situated. It's also important to talk about centrality. Negeri Sembilan borders 4 different states: Malacca, Johor, Pahang, and Selangor. The influences are out, so it becomes very much a confluence of external forces. Many people in Negeri Sembilan live outside. And in many places, 50% of the voters are going to be coming back to vote or not on election day, especially among the more rural parts of Negeri Sembilan. These dynamics about size, the community, the composition of the community, also are compounded by the fact that you have intensive personal rivalries. Negeri Sembilan, people don't want to offend each other, so people don't talk about politics as much openly, not worrying to offend their neighbors compared to other places in Malaysia. But there still is this intensive personalized rivalry and building of cliques of different leaders and this quiet, intensive factionalism that is at play. So far, the campaign has been very low-key. But it's been very intense. It's been personality-driven, resource-driven, and community-driven. These factors are shaping the dynamic on the ground. We can see the closeness of the races are going to be shaped by how many people bring back their family members, how many people push the resources of bringing back key voters, especially among younger voters who are outside. It's been a two-talk campaign from a perspective of leadership, Tok Min versus Tok Man. Each of them have very different visions, a vision of continuity, but continuity interpreted very differently. For Pakatan Harapan, the focus has been on continuity of the current government with the Kekal campaign. Tok Mat, it has been a continuity of what was interrupted in 2018. Tap into emotional sentiments about the positions connected to their political base. Negeri Sembilan is a place of greatness, of which much of that greatness has not been appreciated or acknowledged. As the politicians and the attention focuses on Negeri Sembilan, we can see that the hot seats have become very hot. There are two types of hot seats that I'd like to speak about. The first set of hot seats have to do with personalities and leaders. Pakatan Harapan's leaders, both from the DAP and from PKR, are in very competitive seats. There's been a lot of attention on Chennah. Chennah has a seat in the remote area in the north of Negeri Sembilan. It combines new villages with Felda areas. There's sharp history of ethnic divisions, but also deep ties within the communities. It is a seat that is ethnically split, with 47% Malays, 42% Chinese, very few number of Indians. It's a straight fight between Barisan Nasional and Pakatan Harapan. Anthony Locke, the key leader of the DAP in the state, is facing off against Siao Kok Chung from MCA. What will determine the election is voter turnout, as well as many voters that come back. What makes this campaign interesting has been the sense of challenge that Anthony Locke has had to face. This seat has taken on greater salience, and we can see this in the amount of resources that are being played, both from federal and state resources from the incumbency, being in power in Pakatan Harapan, and also wanting to challenge the dynamic of this contest. It's been very much about personality. Anthony Locke does go to the ground, but at the same time, he's a minister. So there have been concerns about whether or not you can take care of the seat at the same time that you're serving multiple areas. In the campaigning, we can see also the emphasis on what he is doing and power of the persona. This question of persona extends into the second hot seat, that is Lingi. It's being contested by the caretaker chief minister, Ahmadin Harun Min for PKR. He's facing off against Muhammad Faisal Ramli. This seat has 61% Malays, 16% Chinese, and a very decisive 70% Indian voters. It's in the parliament seat of Port Dickson. This is also being held by Min. These issues of whether or not you take care of the constituency are things that have been coming out on the voters, particularly flooding business communities. There's a sense that Port Dickson has been used as a place to win, but not necessarily a place to serve. Many of the small businesses are grumbling, and they see that Lingi is getting attention, but at the same juncture, they don't necessarily see Lingi is getting the rewards. These two contests, both Chennah and Lingi, have become tests for the government, but they've also been a product of the personalities. Of the two, Lingi perhaps is the more competitive one. If Anthony Locke loses Chennah, the real issue will be the mistake of demanding to have an early election after the collapse of the government instead of finding a compromise. Equally important about personality and leadership is the seat of Clawang. Clawang is in Jalubu. It's a town that is very vibrant, a wonderful Adat museum. The issues of Adat are very prominent. We see an Imana candidate and incumbent who's held the seat since 2018. Bakri Sawir is running against Wawasan, the national candidate Danny Rice. Also in the contest is Muhammad Adib bin Musa from Bersatu. It's interesting to watch whether or not the Bersatu factor will be something that will pull away from Pakatan Nasional. What we can see is that Danny Rice, the son of Rice Yatim, who is a prominent leader, will undermine him because he was in Bersatu before, confuse voters. In 2023, Bakir won by a small, slim majority of 577 votes. He won through using resources, building on his reputation as a hard worker, and tapping into traditional support, particularly among the Chinese. There's a sense now that this is also a place that has not been served adequately, wanting more, but there's still a lot of loyalists. I sat down with a group of people. One of the things that was clear that the women liked Bakri because of his hard work. The men were more open for sets of change. There was differences within the family, and the family were okay with accepting differences, accepting different ideas. The issues and positions on Adat also have extended into the community. This role of network and ties, with some pointing to the family ties of Bakri to the name and the position of Rais Yatim. Whether or not he similarly interfered too much openly on the Adat issue will be something that will be tested in these leadership persona battles. It's the other hot seats, however, that I'd like to put attention to. What I call the carry factor, or the factor of the talks being able to pull in different areas, but also the role of history and local power dynamics. I want to turn to another seat in Port Dickson Parliament seat, and that is N33 Sri Tanjung. Many people will think about Sri Tanjung, they think about the Javanese folklore story about the loyal wife tale of Banyuwangi, a faithful wife who was wrongly accused of unfaithfulness. Faithfulness and connectivity is very important in Sri Tanjung. It's important because what we have in this seat is the MIC candidate, Achutan Alagan, running against a PKR candidate, Rajasekharan Gunasekharan. There are other candidates, an independent. There's a Brebas candidate, Saravanan. Bersatu is fielding Libeneshwaran Murugam. Another Bebas candidate, Islam Wayudi bin Zainuddin. It's a five-corner race. These candidates are really pushing different narratives in this contest with the hope that they'll be able to win enough votes. Many of the other candidates, the Bebas and Bersatu, don't really have a chance of winning, but they have a chance of determining who will win. This seat has disproportionately the largest number of Indian candidates in all of the contests in Negeri Sembilan, because 26% of the vote are Indian, 31% are Chinese, and 38% Malay. We also have a considerable number of Orang Asli who live in this constituency, around 6%. It's also a place where we have a lot of younger voters and makes it dynamic. For me, Sri Tanjung is one of the most dynamic and competitive seats in the contest as a whole. Whether or not MIC can be carried by the weight of UMNO, winning both Malay votes and over Indian votes, and it's whether or not the weight of being part of a PKR campaign in now a PKR seat of Port Dickson for some time will help to carry Rajasekharan. We see two very different types of figures. The MIC candidate, Chutan, is more of a grassroots figure. He's been connected into local networks versus Rajasekharan, who is a medical doctor. He is seen as the professional, a little bit more atas or above. It's a question of how they're going to engage the ground and be able to pull the grassroots. Dr. Raja won by a majority of 3,996 votes in 2023. It's become very hot, but not much attention. Two local factors are at play. One is the PD factor, the sense that Port Dickson, the tourism sector, the business sectors have been neglected. That is a blame that PKR has to face from the perspective of perceptions on the ground. At the same time, this is a place of openness, wanting reforms, dynamism, a better type of government. We have these two forces of a sense of deliverables versus promises and consistency at odds with each other. PD is also a place where there is lots of local figures, business people, gangsters, that shape the dynamics and the alliances that are made. It's a seat that is receiving considerable resources, a seat to watch whether or not faithfulness is something going to determine the outcome, and whether or not the accusations that are made are wrong or right from the perspectives of voters. Away from the centers of Port Dickson, you move back to the core, the center of the state. We go to the seat of Sikamat, N13. This is a traditional new village. It was established in 1949. The seat itself was carved out in 2003. It's known as an education center of political base. It is arguably PKR's strongest stronghold. This has been a seat that the Amuddin won since 2008 as Chief Infantry Brigadier. He has served this seat in 2018. He left this seat to contest in Lingi, mostly because of the Adat issues and conditions involving that. But it is also a sense of whether or not he's also given up the seat to his political secretary, Nur Azman Mohammed, as a way of trying to build the base around him, but also around his people in Negeri Sembilan. He's challenged by a Wawasan candidate, Razali bin Sama. Razali is a very powerful figure. He was the deputy police chief in neighboring Malacca, having a lot of local standing and clout and connection. Remember the critical role that social capital plays in the connections to institutions. So we see this seat becoming very hot, not only because of the place and what it is.
And as you can see, PAS is also using the carry factor with some Suri on the posters.
But it is a contest between two different political and social bases that are heading off against each other. Also in this seat is Tun Faisal Ismail from Bersatu. He's seen as a respected individual, tied closely to local networks, especially within the larger Adat community. He is also seen to be important, although lacks the resources that the others do and lacks the connectivity. A fierce fight that is happening on the ground. In neighboring Ampangan, this seat is also quite hot and open. Ampangan is in the Malay heartland, an old Malay village. It's along the Patang Benar River, or connected to the Linggi River. It's a place where the Sungai Ujung Luak crisis of the Adat issue was very concentrated. It comes from the word Ampangan, a Malay word for dam. That's the connection to the water estuaries. It's also going to be a dam of whether or not PAS is able to move out into the Malay heartland. PAS is winning seats on the periphery of parts of Negeri Sembilan, places where the Adat were not as strong. This is where we're going to see whether or not that dam breaks. This is a seat that is disproportionately Malay, 72%, 15% Chinese, 7% Indian, and 5% Orang Asli and others. It's a contest that has been very hot. We have Muhammad Rafi Abdul Malik. He is running for PAS. Dr. Rafi holds a PhD in education. He was a previous Adun for PKR in this seat. He's contested many times, holding the seat from 2018 to 2023. He was an exco in charge of investment. Then he was dropped. In 2023, he ran as an independent and lost, and then subsequently joined PAS. So he's someone who has experience, who has standing, and also we can see that this contest has an element of a grudge match. What makes it even more, should we say, grudgeable, is that he's running against a candidate for PKR, Muhammad Nasri Qasim, who's the brother-in-law of another famous figure in Malaysia, Azman Baki, the former head of the anti-corruption agency in the country. There's been questions on the ground asking why would they put someone like that And what's interesting is that PKR has faced the sense of being tied to people like Nikki Liao and the connections into these types of networks. It's important to point out that PKR has denied that he was a member. This seat has become very hot, not only for the contest between PAS and PKR, but also because this contest is one that reflects a lot of this intensity of these personal factional rivalries. We also see Norazak bin Harun Aza running as the candidate from Bersatu. She's the sole female candidate in this contest. She's campaigning on women's issues, hoping that this will strengthen her position vis-a-vis the male battle that is taking place. Next on the list is the critical seat of Jeram Padang. Jeram Padang is a seat that is a former rubber estate, now has got many Felda areas as well. There is 52% Malay, 9% Chinese, and 32% Indian, has the most Indian vote. I remember first visiting this place in 2023 because the MIC candidate had been dropped. This had been traditionally a MIC seat for many years, and there was a lot of disgruntlement over that. But UMNO won that seat with Muhammad Zaidi Abdul Qadir being slated again quite strongly. He won that seat with a slim 693 votes. Just to point out the size and the margins of the seat, that was almost 7% of those that had voted. This seat is very fiercely contested. UMNO continues to have the dominant position, yet there are a number of important candidates that are shaping the dynamics on the ground. That has to do with the candidate Sri Sanjivan Ramakrishnan from Bersatu. Very wealthy, it seems, and lots of money that is going on the ground. I was speaking to voters, and they told me about so many gifts that they have been receiving. It's almost as if it has been Christmas coming to Jeram Padang. Many days, many gifts are being opened. PKR is slated Mahibanan Gawandasamy. He is locally grounded from the area. The battle has been very much about trying to win the Indian votes and some of the Malay votes. It may turn out that the Chinese 9% of the seat may be decisive. It's going to be a big battle on the ground, very hot. It looks like it's a quiet, calm place, but the politics are quite fierce. UMNO still maintains the advantage given the demographic and the voting patterns. It'll be a place where the PN swing will be very important. Both business links, party links, underlying negative feelings about the seat not being given to an MIC candidate among the Indian community still resonates. These are the issues. Whether or not ethnic voting will pervade tied to resource distribution, or whether or not we will see a sense of crossover allowing a split within the Indian vote. There are other seats that I'm looking at in terms of being open and hot: Temyang, Repa, Chua. Each have their own local identities. Fuchal Village and Chua. Temyang, a very intense combination of an urban center, but also in a multi-ethnic diverse area. And Repa in Tampin. These 11 seats, the seats that remain open, make Negeri Sembilan an open contest from the perspective of the dynamics and the seat numbers. One would think that this is an election about Pakatan Harapan basically extending its tenure. But in many ways, it's become Pakatan Harapan defending its tenure from a greater, intense competition and new political realignments that are evolving. The seats that I've discussed, the 7 ones that I focused in, are going to determine the strength of the different parties and coalitions, the support for PAS, the support for Wawasan. These will be very important as numbers and intensities evolve. This place is in some ways small, but not so small. It's a place that has been traditionally underappreciated, but is extremely important. It's a place that is central. In this regard, it becomes a bellwether. as the weather has moved from sunshine to rain, back to sunshine again in the course of even an hour, we can see that the situation on the ground remains intense, fluid, with different patterns going back and forth. Negeri Sembilan voters will set the course for their state, but they will also set the course for the country. The hot seats are hot and will continue to be hot as voters move to the polls. Outside voters will be decisive in shaping the outcome, but so will these local community dynamics of where the standing of individuals, their personality in small margins. These will come to be very decisive. Thank you for listening to Kerusi Panas. We'll continue these conversations, looking at the Negeri Sembilan results to see who was actually hot.